All right, guys, hey, what's going on? I'm sitting in a chair that's got a backrest because it's way more comfortable, because we're gonna be taking a trip down memory lane where I rank my own cars, which is kind of sort of terrible because when I look back at some of the filters that I used in some of the cars that I did drive, they're pretty terrible. And what we're also gonna do is we're gonna rank them. So I'm gonna rank them from pretty much like 1 to 10, 1 being, oh God, and 10 being, I would buy another one in an instant and own it forever. But we're also gonna walk through and you get to make fun of if I modified my car and if I modified it with good fitment, bad fitment, or any fitment in between. Which, speaking of which, welcome to Fitment Industries. If you haven't been here before, we sell wheel tires and suspension online, which is pretty sick. Plus we got wheel and tire packages, and we have wheel and tire packages in stock, which means you can actually get them in 10 days or less because right now the world's going crazy. So be sure to check it out over at fitmentindustries.com. You'll see quick delivery is what we're calling it, pretty much littered all over the website. And of course, our own in-house brand, Artist Art Formed Wheels, is also quick delivery. And if you pick it up with tires that are also in stock, you can actually get it in 7 days, which is pretty gnarly. So when I was 17, I actually had a 1994 Mitsubishi 3000 GT. It was red, it had a black top on the top. It was an SL, so it was front wheel drive. It was like 225 horsepower. This did have the steering wheel cover, the seat covers. It was manual, so I had screwed on an AutoZone short throw shifter that was red and black. It was super sick. And the floor mats, and of course, everything was paint matched. It looked terrible, but I did find these aftermarket wheels that were like 17 by 7.5 square setup that fit the car. It was really actually terrible to find wheels that fit because the forms were super scary, and it's actually what ended up helping push Fitment Industries was this exact setup. Kind of rough to look at. Stock suspension, tinted windows. I got pulled over a lot and it smelled like oil. But then finally, I did get a little bit better with my taste. I did pick up that C5 A6. It was a 2.7T, which was awesome. It was 6-speed. It was APR Stage 2 tune, ST coilover suspension that I ended up installing or had a shop install. We really dialed it in really nice. And then I had VMR V701s. And then I was running some kind of stretchy boy tires that kept blowing up and debeading. But one of the things that I did learn is you can debead a tire often, especially when you consider how heavy the A6 was. I actually really like the C5 A6. And if you guys know Sean Berger, he really likes like off-meta builds because you can get the same power plants in a lot of cars that are in the sports car models, but not with the sports car price tag. And that A6 was one of those cars. You get a B5 S4 motor and trans in a C5 A6, which was sick, but you had to deal with the fact that the rear end kind of sort of was ugly. I'm saving all the rankings to the end, by the way. So you guys keep like a mental note. You write down what you would rate out of 10, maybe drop a comment below. What would you rate my cars, and see if it lines up with how I rate my cars at the end. But then we jumped into a Mazda Miata, and Mazda Miata was actually my wife's, but we ended up picking that up. It was 1991 Mazda Miata. It was supercharged. It had the whole 9 yards. Jackson supercharged a kit, threw in some aftermarket coilovers that were no name brand, some NRG racing seats. There was a roll bar. We did not install the racing harnesses correctly because why would you? Mostly because I had no idea. If I'd highly recommend, if you're gonna do racing seats, do it right so that you do it safe. Don't be like me when I was younger. Had a front lip. It was actually pretty cool. I really enjoyed that car. That car had Toyos on it and then was running, of course, Enki RPF1s, baby. I mean, what else would you want on a Mazda Miata? One of the things that I really loved about this Miata though is that we painted it kind of deep blue, which was actually a really cool color. I really enjoyed it a lot. It had the Toyo proxies on it, so it had a nice like meaty look. And then ultimately Becca ended up driving it, my wife, and then she ended up with a license plate that said "Is You Down?" And of course with the top down and being a girl and driving a Mazda Miata that was supercharged, she obviously got egged on to race literally 24/7. Now, for anybody that knows me before like the Fitment days, you probably know me through a car club in Wisconsin that I started back in 2012. One of the cars that I actually started that club with was by picking up a car that was a Datsun, and I had a 1976 Datsun 280Z, and I did everything to this car. This car went through like 3 different paints, 2 different transmissions, 3 different motors. I learned so much about this car, and when it actually came to me, it was blue, and then it was brown, and then it ended up being white at the end of its lifespan. I learned how to plasti dip on this car. You can actually see it in some of these pictures. I plasti dipped it brown back when plasti dip was going through its like main craze. I had a friend of mine, Corey Jensen, who ended up taking like a Sharpie and Sharpied the side of the fender in like this Japanese dragon-esque design, which you can see, and it's super sick. But it had a 355, it didn't, and then it did. 355 supercharged V8, had a 6-speed trans, it had a 5-speed, blew that up coming to Appleton. But that car taught me a lot. I mean, it ended up at the end of its life, an entire entirely different looking vehicle. Not everyone's cup of tea, but at the end of it, we ended up switching from, we had diamond racing ceilings on Toyos and this weird engine intake cowl, and then it ended up having, at the end of it, it was pearl white with a half cage on the inside. We reupholstered the interior. It looked super, super clean. 6-speed trans, we had new gauges, new everything, new cowl. We did fender mirrors. We ripped off the front bumper, did a 240 front bumper, shaved the rear ass of the car and really made it sleek, and then did, you know, 3-piece wing on the back, Brinkworth fender flares, Atara wheels, Atara Pisang wheels, side exhaust. I mean, it was just a super cool car. I kept that car for, I think, right about 5 years until I moved to Appleton, and I finally sold it. But one of the cars that I had in the meantime, while that thing was broken 24/7, was a B7 A4 Avant with an RS4 front clip. And that thing was pretty sick. Had that for a couple years. It had a big turbo on it, 19-inch wheels. It was lowered on STs, I believe it was. And it looked really clean. I liked it a lot. Back then, I didn't really understand what the Stance Nation sticker was. It wasn't until I got older that I realized what it was, and it said function over form or form over function, I don't know. But I strapped a Christmas tree to it and I took a picture and it looked sick. I really enjoyed it, but the blow-off valve was almost too much at times, because like you'd be driving at 1200 RPM and it was just like, it was just a lot, you know? And then I sold it and then it blew up. And I was probably around 18 years old when I picked up a 2004 Mercedes-Benz E55 AMG from somebody in New York that I found on eBay. And it was actually a really fun time. It was super clean, had a couple modifications to it, but the thing I loved about it the most was that it was an E55, so it's a 5.4 liter V8 supercharged. I really love supercharged V8s, honestly. But it had an E63 front clip. I love the E63 front clips, but I love the E55 engine platform. And this thing was super clean. It was like this graphite gray. It had a shaved front emblem. It had the tinted headlights, which I know some people don't like. Carbon fiber all the way around, carbon fiber side skirts, carbon fiber diffuser, lip, everything. And we put some niche wheels on it. They were 19s. They had great fitment. Nitto 555 G2s, I think they were. Staggered setup, 9.5, 10.5, super clean. We put airmatic lowering springs in it. This thing was so good looking. And just like all good E55 AMGs, they suffered from power draw issues and they kept dying. It just would not start. The thing I love the most about it though were the burnt orange brakes. They were so clean. That was my first experience with an air suspension kit before. It was stock, but you had the airmatic lowering spring, so it looked really good and I really enjoyed it. It had a water meth tank. It had all the good stuff, pulley, all that tune, TCU, ECU. We did all that work. It was a fast car. I don't know why I sell all the cool cars. After that, 2001 Porsche 911 Turbo, the one with the funky headlights. I know a lot of people talk smack about the funky headlights, but from dollar and bang perspective, not the energy drink, you can't go wrong with a 996 Turbo because you don't have the IMS failure that the non-turbos have in the 996. The 996 is probably one of my favorite cars. It was a tank. The thing was awesome. We ended up getting it up to like right around 600 horsepower. It went through a couple different setups. When I got the car, it had modular concept wheels on it and some Toyo old school tires. And then I switched it around. I put on Rohana RFXs, did a staggered setup. I think it was an 8.5 and 11 on some Toyos again, which looked really, really good. It had Moton coilovers. If you guys don't know what Moton is, it's actually on the website at fitmentindustries.com. It's a very high-end quality coilover. They do a lot of stuff with Porsche and I love their platform. It went through a couple different looks. I mean, I had a livery kit on it for a road rally. I had the Rohanas with just the nice black paint, and then I had a Tech Heart body kit on it, which I thought looked really, really good. It kind of simulated that GT2 look. And then when I got into its final year or so, we decided to go crazy with it. We wrapped it a distressed livery kit to kind of make it look like if it was on the racetrack from 2001 to now, what would it look like? And that's kind of the wrap that we ended up going up with. We introduced that, I think that was the season opener in 2019. We threw on some ESR 3-piece forged wheels and we did like a single dark tint, double dark tint look. I really loved this car, and the peanut butter interior, again, not everyone's cup of tea, but I loved this car. It's what put like Porsche on the map for me as one of my favorite cars. Then we ended up picking up that 2007 430 that I think a lot of people know and don't really love, but know it. It's actually gonna be at SEMA in 2021 at the Acura booth, so we're really excited about that. Spoiler alert, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to tell people, but the 2007 430, that's kind of like what we call the Datsun 2. And what I mean by that is it's kind of going through its own little transformation and different stuff and things. So it's a 430, which means you're not supposed to modify it. So the very first thing we did was modify it. We threw it on air suspension, Acura E-Level Plus. We threw it on universal air bed. airbags. It has ESR forged 3-piece wheels. It's running Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2s. It's got an AirMotion 8-inch riser wing that's carbon fiber 1x1 weave. We have a, Tubi style headers with an agency power exhaust. It's got the carbon fiber splitter, Challenger grille, interior, engine cover kit, side skirts, front bumper, front lip. It's got pretty much everything, you could possibly imagine. And every single time I post it in the Ferrari forums, everybody gets either very, very excited or very, very angry. It's not everyone's cup of tea though, because it's a tucked setup. And one of the things that I always try to, tell people is it is a tucked setup, but I really do enjoy the way that it looks when it's aired up. Sometimes I'm not a huge fan of the super fender to lip fitment, because sometimes when you air up, when those tires come out, it kind of looks a little wonky. You have a super stretched tire, the gap seems weird. So I'd rather have it looking super good when it's rolling around versus just aired out. Then we ended with a 2017 R8, which is like the track setup. So it's on variant wheels, Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's, H&R lowering springs, Vorsteiner rear wing, which is, I think, kind of like the tying piece of the car. Absolutely love it. Super, super clean. Nothing actually too crazy. Starting off at the top, the Mitsubishi 3000 GT SL out of 10 gets a 4. All right, we all start somewhere. The 2.7T, that one gets a 5, and it doesn't get more because the dang pipes on that platform blow off every single time I did a full throttle pull, and I hate ring clamps. 1990 Mazda Miata Supercharged, that was blue, 7. Awesome car. Did kind of the interior wrong, the racing seats sucked, and I didn't like the racing harnesses. 1976 Datsun 280Z, that one gets a 9 because I learned so much about it. I probably wouldn't be here if I didn't have that car. Loved that car, even though it would never ran. Then the B7 A4, that one gets a 7. The AMG, the E55, that gets an 8. I loved that car, so comfortable. The seats were so nice. It had like massaging, bolstering stuff. It was great. The 911 Turbo, 9. That's a great car, and I would recommend anyone that's looking at one, that price range, I would put my hat in for one of those. The 430 gets an 8, and the R8 gets a 14 because it's almost the perfect car. Those are the cars that you know about. I own probably 10 or 15 more that I'm not going to tell you because they're embarrassing. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And if you're interested, a lot of these cars can actually be found over in our gallery over at fitmentindustries.com/gallery. So if you're interested, enter in the year, make, model, see if you can find it so you can see the specs. And of course, if you do have an aftermarket car, don't forget to add it to our gallery at fitmentindustries.com/add. Hopefully you guys weren't mean to me in ranking. I'm definitely gonna look at all the comments and probably cry myself to sleep. But I'm Alex from Fitment Industries, and we will see you later. Peace.